What's up, everybody? I'm Duke James. This is another campaign in EU4 Meiou and Taxes. I think it's been, what, like 4 months? And I went through a whole ordeal. This is my second Zanzibar campaign attempt. I think I filmed like 12 episodes, and yeah, kind of got to the 12th episode before I realized that the entire thing was just chalked. But anyway, more on that in a little bit. So, Sultanate of Zanzibar. This talks about Ethiopia for some reason. There's Mamluks in Ethiopia. They're pretty far north, though. So, okay. We are Sunni, government is monarchy, and we're isolated, and we have an environment. Alright. I'm going to put difficulty on hard. Sure. Gameplay, formidable attacks, historical, sure. Settings locked. It's all good. Let's get some music going. Alright, so for this campaign, Zanzibar, I am going to focus on conquering just coastline with the two exceptions. One exception is there's some nodes that are inland, so like this Monomotapa node. I'll grab one province in these nodes. I know India has a couple nodes like that as well. As long as it's not too far from the coast, so like the Upper Nile would be another example. So I'll grab one province just to have a province in that node that I can trade with and get the benefits of that trade. And then the second exception is islands. So like Madagascar, I'll conquer all of that, and then like Ceylon, and then there's some other islands over in the in Asia that I'll grab. I'm going to focus mostly on Asia. I don't think I'm going to go past South Africa, so pretty much just want to control the trade in Asia and control the coastlines, control the trade, make the European powers trade with me. Alright, so I did 12 episodes, and then I downloaded the mod from Steam, because when I was downloading from the forums, National Focus wasn't showing up, and drilling wasn't showing up as well, so I don't like subscribing to the forums version of the mod because that's updated automatically, and a lot of times it's not save compatible. So what I found is I started the campaign, and then a couple days later they updated the Steam version, so then there became some dead provinces. Like this was a dead province, in that its population, it had 10,000 peasants. It reset the population down to 10,000, and there's no movement in population. None of the calculations were going. And there's some provinces in Madagascar like that as well. So that was one problem. The second problem I ran into was, I don't really know this, but tribes. Our country is controlled by the tribes. A lot of this territory over here is just tribal. Like, Madagascar is 90% tribal. The clans control so much of this territory. So, if you make the clans mad, and their loyalty drops, you will kill your country, and it's very hard to reverse that. So, that's pretty much what I did. I was doing this, which one is it? Expand our authority, which reduces clan power by 5, increases state reach, and reduces clan loyalty by 15. I was doing that a lot. In addition, I was doing expand the bureaucracy, which now this decreases clan loyalty. I'm not sure if that's because the clans have the most power in our country, and it just decreases loyalty with the most powerful people, or if it's just clans in every campaign. But that reduces clan loyalty as well. So I was doing both of these, and then the clan loyalty dropped to like 25%, and I just it killed my country. Because my force limit now is 8. 60 years I played the campaign, and I controlled most of the coastline, and my force limit was 7, so that's how I know that was chalked. And then apparently now legitimacy also affects autonomy, so low legitimacy will increase autonomy. And my legitimacy was at like 30 entire campaign just because of, I got someone else's ruler on my throne, and then I would do these supports. Disown an unpopular relative, which would decrease legitimacy. This is something in previous campaigns I've just spammed, and now I think that's something that I'm going to have to be more cautious when I use that, which is nice. I like these balance changes. It's really just not like spamming this stuff anymore. Because a lot of this stuff I don't spam, but then there's a couple things that you just constantly spam, so they're trying to get rid of that spam of these supports and making them more strategic uses of them. So with that stuff in mind, I'll go ahead and support the elite. I'll go ahead and just, I still feel like yield concessions to ancient liberties is something that you could spam. Because you just lose some prestige, centralization. It's not that bad, so I'll go ahead and do that for 10%. That gets the nobility to 70%. With the clans, I'm going to just constantly spam reduce tributes. And then I will also do permit the old ways. So this also reduces yearly centralization, and it also increases chief's influence, but that's alright, because that gives +5 clan loyalty. So I'll make sure the tribes are very loyal. Alright, with the burghers, promote and support commerce. So I definitely want the burghers to have most power in my country and make the most money. I'm going to do the support burgher autonomy. This increases burgher power by 1% per year. Burgher power right now is 48%, but as I start conquering provinces, that is going to decrease. There's this area over here where there are a lot of trade modifiers. So this area is very, I assume, the burghers have decent power. See, even in like this province, the clans have 60% power. 60% power. So 40% in my capital. So I'm going to keep doing burgher autonomy, because you need burgher autonomy, or burgher power, to get commercialization. So that's something that you could do from the start. And then I'll go promote anti-competitive practices for some merchant trade power. And then perform a show of devotion with the church. The clergy have 4% power, so that's very low. Clergy are kind of irrelevant for the most part. I feel like clergy power higher clergy power should make converting provinces a little bit easier, but I don't think that's implemented yet. The nobility have 5 privileges. Level 3 ceremonial court, which adds a decent amount of state corruption, gives aristocratic influence and some base relations. They have autonomous holdings, which increases autonomy from noble power by 30%. +1 base hierarchy, -20% bureaucrats needed per 1,000 rural pops. They have familial appointments 1, which gives some legitimacy, prestige for 0.5 state corruption, which is a lot. And then they have low obligations and low obligations, noble service, and noble dues. I'll probably leave these 2 alone, but these other 3 I'll eventually get rid of those. The burghers start with sanctioned merchants commerce 6. That has to be 8 in order to commercialization, and unsupported urban governance, that has to either be 2 or 4. So that's stuff I'm going to work towards from the start of the campaign. Interestingly, it's easier to get this stuff if you don't expand. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to conquer most of the coast. Since I'm only conquering the coast, I'm going to conquer up to Azuran and down to Sedanda. And then that should give the tribes decent power. Once that's done, I'll probably start reducing tribal power. and then I'll get commercialization, and then I'll probably expand into Madagascar, because conquering this Madagascar stuff, or I'll get a vassal over in Madagascar, because I definitely don't want this stuff in my country before I get commercialization, because that's just going to make it to get commercialization. We start with level 1, all of these reforms. And then countrywide reforms, we have restricted sale of office 1, and fees as income 1. Everything else is 0. So a lot of reforms we're going to have to do. Our state reach is going to stay 0 until I start doing this. This is where most of my state reach will actually come from, because I don't think it's worthwhile to increase state reach through this when I get hit with negative 50% progress, 30% stability increase interval, state corruption, bureaucracy corruption, and negative 5 clan loyalty. I feel like that's a double whammy that I don't want. I'm going to focus mill for the most parts for the start of the campaign, for most of the start of the campaign. I'm not going to worry about advisors until my ruler dies. Then I'll focus, I'll support the burghers. I'll just grab this guy for now to get that extra mill points. Let's see, we make a negative ducat right now, but that should change. I'm going to stick my merchant in the Monomotapa node for now. They changed around techs, so instead of 3, you start with 13 everything. We have no access to boats until Dip Tech 14, then we get access to cogs. Dip Tech 17 gives us access to lights. I'm going to try to go whatever this one is, expansion, or exploration. It says you need commercialization, 1,500 naval materials cap, and then naval ideas 3, you need 11 diptech, or 10 in the years 1420. See, I'm not sure if this has been updated, because now everybody starts with higher tech than that, so... Or you could get diptech 23, and 50 naval force limit. Our naval force limit is 7. My naval force limit in the failed campaign was like 4 for most of that, so I imagine that's because this autonomy is going to increase, especially once I start conquering stuff. That's going to decrease both my army force limit and my naval force limit. We have, unfortunately, no missions except colonizing, conquering the holy cities, and then these random 2 embrace Western technology group and have gold or produce ivory. And that's just yearly inflation reduction. Let's centralize the state and aggressively police. That's for the national arrest. And then centralizing the state. I don't get this because we just get manpower every year, so manpower recovery speed doesn't really matter all that much when you just get manpower every year, which I'm still not sure. I thought that was a glitch, and it wasn't supposed to happen, but it hasn't changed, so I assume it's just how it's supposed to be now. I'm going to also provide temporary taxes and provide grain for the commoners. I'm going to do both of those. I'm just going to spam those the entire campaign, pretty much. Build up to my force limit. Can't build any boats. Let's go ahead and embrace legalism. That increases our maximum centralization by 15. Centralization starts at 19. That's going to just slowly drop because of those supports. We can rival either Kilwa or Mombasa. So I want to try to ally Azuran. Okay, one thing I did, I also had the Leviathan activated. This apparently is not compatible with that, so I disabled that. And then I also just reinstalled the base EU4 game for my computer and reinstalled it, and then it seems to be fine. Some of the files in that base game and the folders, they hadn't been updated since like 2017, so I think I just needed a reset. So this is not from Steam, so this should be good. It won't auto-update, so I can do this campaign from start to finish with no fears of save compatibility with different versions. I forgot to mention, we start with trade ideas and aristocracy ideas. Interesting. Okay, so that's weird. In the previous version, 15, we actually started with diplomacy. Now we start with aristocracy. We started with trade both times. That's weird. So that gives additional cav compatibility, yearly armor tradition decay, base hierarchy, chance of new heir, manpower recovery speed, cav cost, leader without upkeep, diplomatic rep and relations, legitimacy, aristocratic influence, advisor cost, and leader cost. So the main difference between these is diplomacy gives you a diplomat, which I actually liked. And an additional alliance limit. Huh. That might change my strategy a little bit. Because we are locked with 2 diplomats until we get this one, wear principal crown, and that should give an additional diplomat. But for that we either need 15 cities, which we have 3, or total development at least 60. Our development is 21, so we'd have to triple our development. Maybe it's because we have aristocratic, but the nobility in this so far, it looks like they have a lot more power as well. Interesting. So I'm going to rival Mombasa. I have 3 provinces, these 2 and then this one. This one is not connected to my territory, and I don't have boats, so I don't even have access to that right now. So I'm going to build a spy network in Mombasa. Mombasa is no longer a valid rival. I always hate the start of the campaign during the rush to ally people. I'm going to decrease mill taxes down to 25. Let's put everything at 25. Enable the yearly event, automatic redelegation, provinces, all states, okay. I'm going to try to ally Azuran. They might not actually do that. I also want to ally Moravian down here. Don't want to get left with no allies, though, because that would be pretty bad. So I want to watch this. It's a lot harder with 2 diplomats versus 3. Alright, I can now send Automatic investment, let's go ahead and do 5% every 5 years just at the start. Notify me. Kill announces Azeran and as their rival. So I rival Killua. It should improve my chances of allying Azeran. I'm not allying Malindi. I think I only have 2 alliance slots now. Azeran allied Mombasa. That is actually horrible. I might just restart this, because I definitely do not want that to happen. That is the worst case scenario, actually. Especially since I just rivaled the Killua, so yeah. Azeran has 12,000 troops plus whatever Mogadishu has, so they have maybe 15,000 troops, so allying them isn't an absolute necessity, but not fighting them early on is an absolute necessity, so I think I'll restart this until Mombasa does not ally Azeran, because I'm kind of limited in terms of my expansion right now, since there's only one country to the north of me that borders me and one country to the south of me, and I don't have boats or anything, so yeah, I'm gonna end this part here and then get into a good alliance setup that I'm comfortable with. So thank you for watching. Goodbye. Shuffle does not